Ready? All right, and we're back.
Okay.
Oh no, I had to think I was gonna do it. Wait, no. Our sponsor today is alcoholism. Thank you.
So we're going through the movie Facing the Crowd.
Because he's
Apparently
alcoholic.
Apparently it got chopped up bit. Who isn't an alcoholic?
Yeah, the Lonesome Road. He's an alcoholic to a nauseating degree. All he does is drink in most of this movie. When he's not performing, he's drinking.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so he's exploding up as a personality. And at this point in the movie, that's when politics starts coming into it. Well, so things are going well with Marsha. We don't have to go too deep into the plot.
They do a couple of good things where, like, they show that, like, this is a consciously redeemable person. Like, when he's in Memphis for that first bit, he takes her around. He's like, I was walking around town last night, and this woman lost her home, and, like, you could just send in a $50 if you can just send in a couple of coins, because you might not be able to afford more. And he fucking raised like $18,000 for her and her family.
Which, in that time, is about...
Did you actually look it up?
A lot. Like,
it's a little bit... it's a little bit less than $250,000.
Holy fuck.
I was watching Rocky earlier, and $40.
Yeah.
$40 in 1970 is 200 something bucks now.
Yeah, no, because if
it's gotten bad real fast.
I did look it up. If he was making $500 a week, he would be making $250,000. But instead, he makes $1,000 a week, which is $500,000.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, no, he's making bank. He's making a lot of bank. Yeah, now and like that was even before he did the Vitajex too. Like, are you just talking about the salary they offered him of like $1,000 a week?
That's just when he was.
Yeah, that was before the Vitajex. And Vitajex is just this pill he's pushing, which is 3.5 grams aspirin, 2.5 grams caffeine, 5 grams of inert matter, and 6 grams of dextrose, which is just sugar out there. But yeah, he's just pushing these Alex Jones pills to everybody.
But if you paint it yellow, it makes you want to fuck.
Yeah, no, he actually had this idea, like, you gotta paint it yellow. And then he goes and he starts...
That's the color of sunshine.
Sunshine and good feelings.
Yeah, and then he chases all the secretaries out of the room. That was another one of those, like, wow, this was the 50s kind of moments.
Well, he was just being a salesman at that point. He was just like, because he takes like a handful of them, he's chewing them, he's just like, come here, you redhead, come here, you girl. And then
we'll make that same argument for you at your trial.
I'm just acting.
Bathroom talk. He was just locker room talk.
He was being a salesman.
It was just locker room groping. There was just locker room rape.
There was no penetration.
It was just locker room dismemberment. It was just locker room burying her in the desert.
Hey.
It was just locker room perfectly severing her legs.
Now we're getting
it was locker room
and leaving them behind
later.
a bar in Walkerville.
How long have you guys had?
It was locker room jerking off on the note I
text?
sent her parents.
You guys need to stay the fuck out of my diary.
It was locker room tying her to a radiator.
Yeah. So all that locker room nonsense afterwards. On that note,
You
though,
excited
so this
for the new
is
Saw movie? Is that what's going on?
so things are blowing up for our boy Lonesome. He's got political strategists coming to him now that are recognizing that he's got like a 40% rating share, which is nothing to smell about. That's a lot of power. He's got a massive rating share on every night in everybody's room.
He says it's like 51.6 million.
Yeah, the max that he gets to is like 53 or something. Like that's the highest he gets. But at this point, he's about like 40%. He's getting there. They're trying to get him to push some Congress people.
51 million people back in the 50s because they didn't count minorities, so it was only 51 million real people to them. So that's like basically a majority of the entire world.
So then you take that and multiply it by about 3/5, and I think that's how you figure out how the
that is a compromise. I
Happy
believe.
Juneteenth coming up, everybody. By the way, legitimate Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah.
I'm a patriot.
I'm a patriot.
Yeah, I believe it is a patriotic thing to support freedom being realized.
To support
Hoorah!
To support Texas specifically ending racism.
My favorite part about never mind, whatever.
So this is when it starts. So this is like officially the peak on the down. Like this is when Lonesome Roads officially becomes a dirty little birdie.
This is where
this is when his wife shows up and starts talking to Marsha, who Marsha thought they were gonna get married, but no, his ex-wife shows up and she's just like, oh well, you're just gonna have to pay me a lot of money for a long time. And then but he's like, oh well, I'm still gonna marry you, Marsha, don't worry. And then he goes down and he judges a majorette competition in the South. And there's all these beautiful young lasses of the 16-year-old variety. What?
It's It's not just the South.
It's where he started.
Arkansas.
It was Arkansas, which is some good South.
Back in the first town he got picked up in as Lonesome Roads.
Yep, that was the town, and he finds a nice young nubile 16-year-old, gives her the gold. She worships him, fucking
scarily worships him.
Yeah.
Like the first thing she says.
Poster on the roof, Johnny Depp level fucking goth girl.
You're the first
Like
thing I
that.
see every morning, and you just make it so I can get.
your picture to the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could be the first thing I see every morning.
Yeah, she like
and the last
she
thing I
literally-
see before I go to bed. I think about you constantly and how I'm gonna rip your skin off and wear it like a little suit and do a cute dance in the bathtub.
And something I like about that scene is one of the first things he said when he was, because I think to a certain extent this movie is about him becoming a parody of himself.
Yeah.
Like he was always a bad guy, but like he started out and he was saying fuck you to the sponsors and shit, and then all of a sudden he's fucking like selling pills on everybody. Like, and it's just another example of him becoming a parody of himself was in that scene where he's watching all these girls dance and shit. It's playing Mama Guitar, which was a line he said, like just an actual line he said when he was first met, where he was like, nothing better than a guitar.
Yeah.
Mama Guitar you can always trust, or something like that.
'Cause a
And
woman will
that
get mad
song
at
is
ya.
just playing over him watching that. So like it clearly said that or whatever, but I just thought it was kind of
and
funny.
then it really takes the reins. They like name a ship after him and a
Yeah.
mountain. And
Yeah, they named a mountain after him. Like
The
that.
spike, the spike of his popularity.
he gets
is
like the
wild.
key to the city.
He's like Tom Cruise times Michael Jackson. at
They're
this
talking
point.
about like making him president at one point, or
Yeah,
like
no, well,
we're
that-
gonna
see,
have you talk
so
for
this
our
is the
presidents.
highest point it gets, where he's pushing this congressperson and he's telling him like, oh, you just got to learn how to talk to the down home jaw fucking dangling crowd. You got to go on my political Cracker Barrel show. And he's building up, and then that's when they're saying to him, oh well, if this guy becomes the president, you're gonna have a cabinet seat, and then maybe you'll run in a further election or whatever. So like shit was getting big. This was like fucking the last jump of becoming the most powerful person in America. But then everything starts falling down. Betty Lou, his wife, or his brand new wife, that the fucking majorette that he married, the 16-year-old majorette.
Can you blame him? Can you blame him?
I was in love with Marsha. I was in
she's
love
cute.
with Marsha.
I was
She
also in love
worships
with
him.
Marsha, but when Betty Lou started taking off her clothes to baton,
Yeah.
I found out that I'm into vintage porn.
I've
Yeah,
never
well,
s-
vintage, dude, I'm all about the pinups, but that's an entirely
Todd,
different
how about-
conversation.
Todd, how about that one part where she like spins the baton with her pussy lips?
Oh yeah, I saw
Oh
that
my
part.
God. I saw it. I was like, that's a pussy spinning
Yeah.
a baton.
But so it turns out one of fucking Lonesome's business partners was plowing Betty Lou
The whole time.
right off.
Mr.
As
New
soon as he
York.
married her, he just started plowing Betty Lou.
I would like to clarify though that Betty Lou didn't win just because she was the hottest. Like she was an
did the
impressive
best. She
baton.
was a very
player.
good baton twirler.
Those batons. Because all of them were spinny batons.
I thought the batons were going through her
No.
legs. She was doing so well.
This wasn't like, oh, hey, we're doing like a little miss, so like show us your talents. All the motherfucking ladies were spinning batons. She just did it with her pussy lips is all.
Yeah, that was a big part of it, honestly. Like everybody else, like I can do a lot of things with my fingers that I can't do with my vagina. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's for most people. So really, it was an entirely different game being
Get you a new
played.
vagina for your birthday.
But anyway, so
Look at those milkers.
So yeah, so he kicks her out. So Betty Lou gets kicked out. Fucking Lonesome Rhodes puts on a fedora for the only scene he wears a fedora in the movie, just to kick out his broad, which I just thought was funny. Like, because if I ever have to kick out a broad, I'm putting on a fedora. Like, because if you're trying to approach a broad, by God, do not wear a
Don't wear a
fedora.
fedora.
Well, here's the
But if
thing.
you're trying to kick a broad out, wear a fedora.
I
It's
do
cool.
personally believe that Lonesome Rhodes, his aesthetic, like the suits he wears,
Oh, yeah.
it's for a very specific reason. Say with the time when he's talking about the politics, he's the only one in a suit and tie,
Right.
whereas everyone else is in tuxedo and bow tie.
Yeah, exactly.
And
But then when he's
way-
on TV, he ain't wearing no
Nope.
suit at all. He
He's
takes
got
it
the-
off, got the collar open, got the suspenders.
bolo, if anything, and
then-
then but for like kicking out some dumb broad.
Yep, fedora.
It's a fedora.
Fedora. That is the moment that it was called.
The only thing that can repel a woman faster than the spoken word of Lonesome Rose.
So the congressman that he was pushing is winning, but so his wife just dumped him. So he basically dumped his wife because she was fucking around. But he runs back to Marsha and is like, "You should take me back now." And then he goes on a wild, drunken rant about, these people are rednecks. They're all my fucking pawn. I'm a wielder of influence. So he goes fucking...
He doesn't even say, like, take me back. He's just like...
Yeah, he just says, I'm here,
and, they're all turning on me, and you never turned on me. And he's like...
Yeah, and... Honestly, she big-dicked... We didn't even mention it, but she big-dicked him hard a while ago because she was like... she was supposed to marry him, and he went with Betty Lou, and she just said... he said something like, I'll make sure you're paid for. And she's like, you're goddamn right. I own 50% of you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay me whether you want to or not. And he was like, okay, deal. But, so then he goes full fucking hog wild. And then she goes to the bar, and it just happens that fucking Walter Matthau's there, Martin, the writer, or whatever his name is, Marty. He comes in there, and he's like, I'm writing a book on Lonesome Road.
Yeah, would you believe I'm writing a book on Lonesome Road?
Yeah, see?
And I think he's got too much power, Marsha. He's got too much power.
He's crazy,
Marsha, listen.
If there's any way you can take him down, you gotta take that chance. Like, he says basically all that shit.
You gotta slit his throat and throw his cock and balls in the river.
You gotta give him a vasectomy. Just lay the vas deferens down on the table and just go chop, chop, chop.
You gotta cut his head off and put it on a dog's body and revive it and have it run around town screaming at people.
And then you gotta put on a poodle skirt and do a little woozy on the floor.
It was a very confusing 20-minute scene. I did not know what was happening.
And then you gotta take those balls and put them where his eyes are. Take his eyes and put them where his balls are.
So I can look at his dick and his dick and look at his balls.
And then he just started saying, this is what they sounded like in the 50s.
And then you gotta turn yourself into a snail, see?
This was, I can't believe Pickle Rick.
Actually based on this movie. It got really memey after that. The movie got really memey. But anyway, so Marsha is like, oh, I'm conflicted.
Marsha's such a sweet gal.
I'm conflicted about how people are. I'm conflicted about whether I should do this. And then she goes over there and she sees him like fucking... She goes over while he's doing a live show, and he's like trying to push that congressperson who's running for president. He's trying to push him over the edge for the last time.
Curly. He brings him on the show.
Curly Fuller.
Well, that's the thing too, because like while she's at the bar and she's talking to him, Curly has his showing on the Cracker Barrel hour, and it's just the fucking... It is the most perfect representation of having a politician on TV trying to be like, I'm just like you, except... And he just goes on and on like, I don't believe people deserve anything, and you gotta work for everything you have, and if you fall on hard times, you gotta work harder. And the guy's just like, turn this fucking off. Let me talk to Marsha real quick.
Yeah, no, so he's just talking all this shit, and he's become so Marsha's like kind of starting to see it, and then she goes to the set. He's drunk as shit. He's just like, I'm just gonna fucking go on. You can't write anything for me? Alright, fuck it, I'm just gonna go.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
He does a literal I'm doing it live. He goes out there, and he says, well, you folks, and he's got his big fucking Andy Griffith grin on his face, just doing the whole fucking country bumpkin thing. And Marsha's just sitting there fucking, she's watching him like yell at all the crew and abuse them and fucking just being a dick to everybody. And then she fucking watches the guy fucking with the audio switches, and sees what he's saying during the fucking commercials. And she just, during the final credit roll.
Think you skip it. Are you skipping?
What are we skipping?
What did I skip?
Oh, never mind. Sorry, I forgot the final scene where like stuff like culminates. Never mind.
Right. So then, yeah, he's talking
because
shit.
That's important.
And he's on what he said whenever his mic gets cut, he's just saying like, look at you dumb rednecks, and she spikes up his audio, and he's on the TV just saying, look, you fuck, just smiling at the camera, trying to look country bumpkin-y, and just saying, you fucking worthless sacks of shit. No one fucking cares.
He said some really fucked up stuff.
He says very specific things about how stupid they are and how bother, eating out of the palm of his hand.
I could tell him that dog shit was a steak and they'd happily eat it. I'd give him
And Adam McMillan has a fat wife.
No, and then there's a great scene right after that where it's like he gets canceled, like in the modern sense, like he gets canceled in like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
he goes down the elevator.
Oh yeah,
and as like the floors are ticking down, it shows like all the Congress people getting called and all the Homes people like calling into the radio station or the TV station,
all those poor operators.
Yep. Yeah, and all the while he knows none of this is going on. He's just going home to have his fucking Illuminati dinner with the folks.
Go to a nice dinner. He says like, don't fret the horses. I only got 30 minutes of change for dinner.
Right.
And he immediately cracks open a bottle and starts drinking.
Yep. And he just keeps pounding. And then nobody shows up to his gala.
This is the best scene.
This is when Andy Griffith goes full nuts. This is the love me scene.
And even after that, after that was my favorite part where Marcia comes up to
right,
the dinner.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, right. So he's freaking out, and then he calls Marcia because no one's answering. He's like, no one's answering Marcia. He doesn't know Marcia was the one who fucked him over either. He's like, no one's answering Marcia. Why don't you can you just talk to me? And then he just keeps screaming and like saying, oh, nobody cares. Everybody hates me now.
He does a callback to earlier when he called her and he was all alone in the house and he's like, it's so lonesome, I'm just gonna jump.
Yeah, if you don't come over, I'm gonna jump. And then he does it again. He's screaming at her, if you don't come over, I'm gonna jump. And then she says, well, jump then! Jump! Do it! And it's really intense. Like,
it
is. No, Marcia, Andy Griffith's great in this, but whoever played Marcia,
she's amazing.
Van Halen, actually.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen plays Marcia.
Could you Google who actually did it? I want to shout her out.
Patricia something.
Whatever. But anyway, yeah, she will deserve her. But yeah, so then she's sitting there and she tells him just go kill yourself. And then she breaks down crying and hangs up. And then Walter Matthau just happens to be standing there. And he's like,
Patricia Neal.
Patricia Neal. Shout out to you, Patricia Neal. You
Patricia Neal Patrick Harris.
She's a bad bitch.
You know what? She's still cool. She looks.
Oh no, she's dead.
Oh, shout out! This is in memory of Patricia.
I was gonna say I'd still fuck her.
She was married to Roald Dahl.
She was married to Roald Dahl.
Bullshit.
Swear to God.
For the long run, or just like for 2 years in the '60s or something.
How long was that? Was it until she died?
53. Holy shit. Oh my God, she was married to.
How long?
I don't know how wrong.
It says it right there.
53 to 83, so that's
30 years. So probably around until
like
he
83, and then Roald Dahl died in 83 until he died.
Wow, so she was the wife of Roald Dahl.
Oh, no, wait, best poets ever.
Wow.
Oh no, wait, he died in
No, he was a poet.
No, he died in 1990. I was wrong.
Where the sidewalk ends.
7 years before, huh? Mm-hmm. No, that's Shel Silverstein, bro.
Who the fuck is Roald Dahl?
Roald Dahl wrote James and the Giant Peach.
And Fantastic Mr. Fox.
And not Charlotte's Web. A bunch of weird shit. He wrote a bunch of weird shit like that.
Babe?
What?
I don't fucking know. There's a lot of weird Tim Burton-y looking shit.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's
Matilda.
Matilda. Yeah. But anyway, this is
the one about the
we're at the end of the
witches
movie.
that
Pretty much, Walter Matthau
kids
convinces Marcia like, if you don't go tell him what actually happened, that you were the one that did it, then he's gonna come back here and he's gonna fire people and he's gonna destroy people's lives.
Gremlins.
She's like, shit. All right, I guess I gotta go over there. And she goes over there, and Andy Griffith, Lonesome Rhodes, is just standing atop the balcony, shouting a loud, like, angry political speech about how everybody needs Lonesome Rhodes, how you all love Lonesome Rhodes. And he's got his butler sitting down there just playing an auto laughing and auto clapping machine that he himself designed.
It's an honest to God canned laughter machine, and the dude just barely wakes in there flipping switches for him.
I forgot that he invented it.
Yeah, I know. He invented this stupid fucking machine.
It's wild. He's on. It's not even like he's on the table, like where the rest of like this dinner was happening. He's a balcony above, just screaming and ranting, and the dude's just sitting there like throwing the laughs.
Yeah, he's like he likes a lot of applause.
Yeah,
it's actually that's a really surreal scene. That's a kind of a Lynchy scene. Actually,
it got very strange very quickly, and, especially at the end of it.
Yeah, and then he notices Marcia, and he goes down the stairs and he professes all of his love, and he's like, "Oh, you'll love me, won't you?" And then she's like, "I was the one who did it. I can't fucking abide by this shit." And then he's like, "Wow, you're a piece of shit. I'll be back on TV before you know it. No one can stop Lonesome Rhodes." And then Walter Matthau's like, "All right, cocksucker, you'll be back on TV."
He gets
He's
his
back on TV, but you won't be as big anymore. You know,
tell you.
and everyone will be like, "Oh, what happened to that guy who was so big?"
Oh, he had
but now there's this new guy, and he
was a
reminds me
great
of the next
speech,
Will
yeah.
Rogers.
Which is
a callback.
It was really nice. It was like you won't be on the top. You won't be on the top ones. You won't be the top 10s.
Yeah.
Probably not even the 20s. Not even the 30s. But you'll get back.
It's like where Bill
They'll give you
O'Reilly
time.
is now. Like he has people. There's like 10 people who watch him, but you know he doesn't have any of that power anymore, and that's what those
Now
people
we're all
really
talking
want.
about Tucker Carlson now, and it's like, who's Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah.
No, it's the exact same thing, and like the way he says it, and then he walks out because Marsha's hitting the dinger for the elevator. She's hitting the button, and he turns around, he starts walking out as he hears, and he stops one more time. He says, and he calls out to his butler's name to wake him up, and then he flips on the audience applause, and he just walks out, and it's just this applause for
he just
a minute straight. This uproarious applause as Andy Griffith stares at his entire life leave him right then and there.
And then the very last thing we see is Walter Matthau and fucking Marcia getting into a cab, and you can hear him screaming from his penthouse, and he's like,
Marsha, don't leave me, Marsha.
and then Walter Matthau just goes, "Oh, take him for a suicide."
Yeah, that's what it was. And then she gets in the car and drives away and
Fuck
just
off.
keeps screaming Marsha, fade in, the end, and then the fucking movie ends. No credits. The file ends. If you're watching this on some shitty fucking streaming service, like you might 2 seconds later you're watching fucking Desperate Housewives or whatever.
Or
like
Bo Burnham's Inside, which
Yeah,
is a guy who says you should watch.
Shout
that
out
too.
to Bo
Yeah,
Burnham's Inside. Bo Burnham is one of the greatest artists of all time.
Also, shout out to Bo Burnham's insides, like his
shout out to
intestines.
his
Very
insides.
warm, very tight.
Shout out to
very
Bo Burnham's outsides, actually.
He's a very handsome boy.
I gotta see a good look of him in Bo Burnham's inside.
But anyway, so do you guys feel that you understand what this movie's about? Do you guys what are the most important elements of this movie to you?
Oh, we
guys?
were supposed to write a dissertation for your
No,
ass.
just
Did
tell me what you think.
fucking-
Tell me what you think this movie was about. Tell me what made this movie work to you guys.
It's just fucking like
It's about the
it's,
influence.
it's a basic corruption story, or maybe like even a heightening of a platform for a guy who's
Interesting.
already a dick,
Essentially.
or like lying. Yeah,
I think this movie's about the perception and like how media is your persuader. You know, because like this is, you know, the entire time he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of rotten shit, but he can fucking pull it together just long enough for a quick like 2-hour show or so, and fucking have everyone loving him.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that's all of his power persuasion leaves the moment he's like really seen.
it hits on a lot of topics.
And that's
it
something that I
does.
think is kind of interesting about it is
Big
because you can
Pharma's
tell that
thoughts around
this. Yeah, no, they shit on Big Pharma, they shit on the media, they shit on
Politics.
politicians, the fakeness of politicians.
I'm surprised
shit
they didn't talk
like
about-
they even this movie before Canned Laughter even existed, they were ripping on Canned Laughter.
With the
Like this
applause,
movie
yeah,
was
yeah.
so ahead of its
A lot
time.
of the montages and like cutscenes for that were like they would show up with like him saying something, and then like it would show up to the big screen that said applause or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was it's a very, very ahead
He
of its
fucking
time
gets
movie, in my
married in front of a live
on
studio
TV,
audience.
yeah, on TV, and then he like fucking just parades his wife
This
around
shit
saying,
was-
"Oh, this is why I married her. Look at the ass."
This movie was like making fun of the Kim Kardashians and shit before.
Way,
it
way, way before that
It's
shit.
wild.
I've seen
Nothing's changed.
there are think piece articles all over the internet comparing this movie to Trump, to the Kardashians, to fucking media culture, to like this movie is one of those things that like people who've seen it are like, oh well, this was predicted in 1957 by Elia Kazan, Andy Griffith. But you know that is what this movie is. Do you have the tune?
Oh, of course.
It just shows
He's got
nothing's
it. He's got it
changed,
100%
baby.
right. So we're walking into the lab. Before I do anything, I have to ensure that these are.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna give you enough time for me to finish another drink, cause you know, I don't really think cocaine was big back at this time, so I'm just sticking to the.
Well,
the
it was
Andy
in the
Griffith-
cola.
Yeah, it was.
No, cocaine was part of it was like part of Vitajex. Like
Vimbujex.
Because like shut the fuck. So here we are. We are actually.
He was
in the
real proud of
boardroom
that.
now.
He was talking about that joke in the car, and you're just shitting all over it.
I'm so happy about it. It was our connection to body melt to this.
I said Body Melt is Cloverfield, and this movie is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I actually really like 10 Clover.
Me too. I fucking loved it.
Except for the last 5 seconds.
It
As soon
grows-
as she leaves the house and robots eat and robots come in, I'm done with that movie. It's a fucking shit movie.
It grows on me every time I watch it.
Oh, yeah,
it
that's
really
how that
does.
movie
Do you know what the original ending of that movie was?
Yeah, because it was just a movie called The Cellar, and it was just everything that it was, and
Until
then
the very
it
end.
ended.
Until the end, where in the end it turns out that she thinks that he was wrong, like the world didn't end.
Mm-hmm.
She drives to Chicago or whatever, and the city is melted down, and the movie ends with her just like taking off her space helmet. That's the end of the movie. So you don't know whether she's gonna die or not.
Oh,
No,
So
yeah.
way better ending than fucking, and then she joins the resistance.
It was weird that 10 Cloverfield Lane is
But
something.
we are
that was like,
here.
and we're here. Sorry.
We are here to discuss 1957's Face in the Crowd, Elia Kazan. I am acting as the producer who would very much like to see a great remake of this movie, great sequel of this movie. Here's what I am looking for. I brought in a couple of the most talented writers in the country to try to make their vision of this a reality. What I personally want, and you can adjust your ideas for this as we go on if this doesn't fit in, but what I need out of this story, the most important elements of this story to me, are I need some level of a modernization of that big parody of the media, the politics, the TV, all that shit. Some sort of a modernization on that. I want an interesting take on that. And I want something that has that heart of Marsha. Because I think that the character of Marsha being lost was a big part of why this movie worked. Because it gave a human side to it. So, I don't need that too hard, but I want that to be in there. Who wants to go first?
I'll fucking go first.
Titan's
doing
going
it.
first.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
So, I basically wrote this as a complete remake with the era and everything, but we could just boost everything because of the format. We can bring it to the modern day, and we can add in some references and
If you're
shit.
bringing it to the modern day, I want to hear some color of that as you explain.
Okay, cool. So we're doing a full-blown Broadway musical of this story. So I'm thinking we start out with a Jailhouse song, right? The same way it starts off, fucking
little Elvis Birdhouse Blues.
exactly,
yeah,
like
yeah.
like harmonica, like just and it's all the other jailmates singing about how they didn't do what they're in for, you know.
Right.
And then they get louder and more passionate as they go on, and then
I don't deserve to be in here.
exactly. And then Lonesome goes, "Shh, I'm trying to get some sleep." And so they quiet down, and they're like, "Well, I'm not in for what I do," or whatever, you know.
Hey.
And then
Is this a
and
musical? This feels like how a musical
I just said it's a Broadway musical.
Oh, so this is a straight up Broadway musical. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, interesting. I like what we're thinking. And in that case, I might not need the era modernization. But
Perfect.
Yeah, so let's just do it with the 50s and show me.
Perfect.
I still want to see how you change it by mediums though.
Okay.
So, all right.
So Marsha walks in and she starts talking about her radio show and everything to the fucking jail,
boys.
the jailman,
jailman.
the sheriff or whatever.
Prisoners?
The jailed.
No, the guy that's running the jail, and then one of them over
The
here.
warden?
Yeah, the warden. Thank
sheriff
you.
mayor.
And then one of them overhears and says
mayor.
it to the other, and they all start building up again. And then I'm thinking like Lonesome goes like, "God damn it!" And then he sees Marsha and he goes, "Well, I apologize for the language, young lady." And then he's like, "Well, blah, blah, blah." And then she explains what's going on, and we basically get the same setup, just in a more like fun, upbeat, you know, fucking Broadway musical opening style. And then we get him playing a song and everything, and she's like doing it over the radio. Like everybody's in their cells and everything, and then they're center stage, just right next to each other. He's sitting down, she's standing up with the microphone right there. And then we do the same basic fucking like, "All right, you're getting let out because you sang this song for me," and she tracks him down and
Sucks him off.
and maybe we have like a good like transition music of him walking and be like just like plucking on the guitar.
Probably
with
like
his-
going back to like a motif, like if the song he just sang was like "Free Man in the Morning," you'd have him like be whistling like
Yeah.
"Free Man in the Evening."
with his buddy, and they're just walking down the street.
Like
and she-
Broadway, and even having like just
Motif.
strumming the guitar, strumming those
Yeah,
notes
yeah,
as
yeah,
he's
yeah.
walking.
Yeah.
past
I want to
the-
whistle. I want the whistle.
the
though.
whistle-
Okay, Andy Griffith.
and then
Hey, you want to keep insulting me? See how good your idea does.
and so
Dick's swinging.
She pulls up and explains everything, and then I was thinking we could do like a fun like station introduction song, like going through the workplace, and this is I'm Marsha, I do this. This is Louise, and Louise does this. And then
I do this.
And then I was thinking we could do like a fun little song with him. Like it's real down to earth. Like it's literally just him playing his guitar. Like we don't do any like the orchestra doesn't go off or we don't play any music over the speakers. It's just a cappella every night. And it's about like how much he loves the microphone. Like it's a ballad to the microphone.
Right.
It's a robot penis that I don't mind playing with.
And then through dialogue, we talk about some of his escapades, like the pool and the fucking the mayor and everything like that. He could announce it maybe, and then in some dialogue in between songs, we could fucking like, oh, I can't believe you did that, you boy, you fucking.
Yeah, you definitely mix like those two scenes of the small town stuff into one thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then he gets the big call. I want you to be on TV, and then he's woohoo, and then he's spinning Marsha around like I can't believe I'm gonna be making $1,000 a week. And then we get the I'm on TV song.
I'm on TV.
And basically during this song, we keep thinking that we're gonna like finally get to the chorus or something. Like he goes and then he stops and he goes, so where do I look when I'm sitting here? And then it just keeps getting interrupted by him not fully understanding how a TV works.
I could see that being a pretty interesting piece. Yeah, keep going.
And then, that scene where he's like, I was walking around Memphis today, the big city. Y'all just everybody's getting from where they are to where they're not. And we turn that into the, like, I Love Memphis song. And then that's when he brings in the lady whose house burned down. And he's like, everybody, I need you to raise some money. And then we got the fucking extras just, like, throwing dollar bills or coins onto the stage like this, and
Right, I follow you.
Right.
I follow you.
And then he goes, I can't believe that we raised you good people in Memphis.
I'm even wondering, like, not to go against you, Tytan. I want to help you on this one. How much fourth wall breaking you feeling for this?
I was going to ask that. So
I feel like Lonesome Rhodes, as the person playing him, could really go like, look at all these beautiful people out here on Broadway tonight. I hope you guys are here for a show.
That is exactly.
Well, all right. So here's the question. The version of that question that I'd like to know is.
How much does the audience become a part of the show?
How much do we know about how Lonesome Rhodes feels? Because there's the I Want song, and there's that whole thing in a lot of musicals where there's the characters will just explain how they actually feel. And I could see there being a good musical number like on that TV where like he does all the things in front of the things and then he like goes behind and he says what he actually thinks about the people or something. Like, so how much are we actually in his perspective here? How much do we get into his thoughts?
When he's singing, we could do like I love the people, and then we could do like subtle scenes or subtle parts of that song where like he's like, where do I look or whatever, where he like goes behind a camera and then goes, hey buddy, could you aim that at like my good side? And he's just kind of being a dick, but he's not being a full-blown dick until later. We kind of reveal it as we go, kind of like how we do here. Like we get subtle hints, and then it becomes really apparent later.
You can have a solid scene where someone trips him up on set, and he stops himself from blowing up. But then, like, just a moment later, when all of it's done, you actually hear him.
Oh, he could walk off stage. Yeah, everybody's off stage, and then we hear him yell at someone.
You hear him behind the curtain,
the cameras are off, meaning like it's blackout.
Right. You could even do instead of him walking off stage, you could even like just kill the lights and just barely have him lit. So he's just got really hard shadows.
Your classic Broadway scene transition happens, and like as the lights are down, you just hear, God damn it! You were supposed to step, turn. If you fuck up again, I'm putting you on the streets of Memphis just like the rest of them, and you can wander until you're dead.
That would be a good place to put like that character transition of him.
Just a second though, you just want a touch of it, just a bit of salt on that sweet.
And then what happens? Then what else?
Okay, and so oh shit, where were we? Oh, and then we got the I Got Me a Sponsor song.
Right, the Vitajex tune.
Exactly. No, I was thinking the mattress first. We straight up do the mattress, and then he's like, and it's the best dang mattress that you can find if you go behind a dumpster or some shit like that. You
Right,
know?
okay, so he's shitting on him.
Springs and knives under your back. You'll come back with a smack, and I'm gonna say.
I feel like those should almost like there should be like barely anything in between those two songs. Like
Yeah,
it should be like the lights dip down for him yelling at the people, and then the lights come back up, and now we're doing the sponsor song.
That's
Okay.
Broadway.
So that's kind of how the movie does it too. Is like
Yeah, 'cause-
that section is very quick.
Oh, and then you know, there's the fucking our ratings of our sales have gone up 50%. Blah 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 blah. We keep that practically the same, but it's like classic, like often like a booth. That's where we build like the set for the fucking
Right,
office.
like the banker from Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, exactly. And he could be like up in the fucking balcony or something. That's where we could put. That's where we could put that set. And we constantly have extras coming in, going like, and then they walk out. And then
I can see that
and then
being
on the
really
main
funny.
stage, that's where we have like the riot and everything, where they're fucking burning the mattress, and they're like, "We'll sleep on the floor with Lonesome," and everything like that. And it could be like, "You see those people down there? You see what they're doing to me?" You know.
I feel you. I feel you. I follow you.
And then oh, I also forgot to mention, we keep the goodbye and first kiss between him and Marsha basically the exact same. I fucking love that. It was great. I can't see really any changes that we can make, and I don't want to make it into a song, so
Right, yeah, you know, that doesn't have to be a song.
exactly, basically the same shit. Same scene about him getting an agent and everything, you know, the guy who's like, "Well, they needed you to have a New York agent. Meet your New York agent." You know. And
That man is bagels and cream cheese, New York. I'd say so.
and then we get the Vitajex song. And it's really a song that just keeps referencing advertising techniques, and then it's like, "And then you're the closing blah blah blah," or whatever.
What?
You
It's
know?
not going to be a bunch of W innuendos because this is basically just the Viagra of the movie. It makes you want to fuck.
We could add that in there. Yeah, that'd be really funny.
Them you jacks will make you harder than you feel like it should be.
And then he's like, and then you come in and you're the closing blah blah blah, whatever.
Right.
The hard sell. That's what he calls them. He calls them the hard sell.
Just like a bunch of mascot looking things. Like, can there be mascots that are playing the things he's selling?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, of course.
sell me to children.
I'm a
Give this
politician.
to your average fellow. It ain't good unless you paint it yellow.
I promise I'm not addictive.
And then and then here's my duo, my fucking glory. Ain't It All. So basically, this is the song about all the things that are like how he's finally successful, and he's like, "Ain't it all fucking like, ain't it all wonderful, ain't it all blah blah blah." And then it ends with all the people on stage, because like we've got the entire fucking cast just dancing with him, and he's like, "I got this, I got this, I got me a big boat, got me a mountain," and then all of the extras dance off stage, and it's just him mid stage in his big fucking. We basically do the fucking thing that they did in like Newsies or whatever, where they're like changing the set as they're dancing, and it changes from like what we've had this whole time to fucking like his penthouse basically.
Right.
And then at the very end, at the very end of the song, everybody dances off stage, and it just leaves him alone in the middle.
Right.
And he's like, "Ain't it all?" or whatever, and then he's all alone in this apartment.
Drinking.
It's
Right.
just a spotlight on him. Cut to black. Intermission.
Right. I figured that was where intermission was coming. Yeah. All right. So
you
that
can
makes
have like
sense.
when we come back is like the fucking stage could be just littered with like Jack Daniels bottles and
Oh,
stuff.
that'd be
Yeah.
great. That would be
Like,
awesome.
'Cause that's all it is, like,
from
at
the
that point in the-
Aviator with the bottles of piss. You
Well,
guys
like, in
seen the
this movie-
Aviator? How many times am I going to reference the Aviator?
Never seen it. Probably
It's a
won't
good
now.
movie.
Not until you make me. But like, yeah, because
I
like,
did
in this-
make you. That was like the second episode we ever did. No one watched it.
That's really sad.
Well, it's a really good movie. It's Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
You're the only ones who lost.
Well,
Sure, but yeah, because that's at that point in the movie. That's like where it's just like, hey, alcoholism and like idealism take place on him, and he
Right,
just
right,
is corrupted entirely.
Right.
and
I
so
feel ya.
and so the song right before intermission is "Ain't It All,"
Right.
and then the song right after intermission is called "It Ain't All."
It
ain't all great, it ain't all whatever, you know, and it basically serves the same purpose as him on the phone being like, I'm gonna jump, no one really loves me, come over, Marcia, and then it ends with his proposal. And it starts with Lonesome in the same position as he was before intermission,
right?
Except now I like he's like surrounded by
physical
trash
transition
and bottles and
ladies under things. Probably a bunch of girls.
Yeah.
Just half naked girls laying around.
Yeah, and then he like shoos them out. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Before
Marcia gets
like
the second she runs off.
Maybe while he's on the phone.
I do love that scene where he's like, "Follow my lead. Thanks for the breakfast, ma'am," and he calls her out.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good part.
And so from It Ain't All, he does the proposal and everything, and she's like, "Oh my God." And then there's a line. We move on to the wife scene where his actual wife comes in, and then she's like, I always did have trouble keeping him lonesome, and so this song is going to be called Keep Him Lonesome. And fucking it's basically the introduction to the wife and that whole thing,
right?
And it starts the conflict between him and Marcia, you know, where she's like, well, maybe you should get divorced before you try to marry me. And then
stick a finger in me before you think you can just walk all over my indiscretions in this industry.
And then we cut to the Miss Arkansas song, which this is something that made me really happy.
This is a big one. I feel like Waterworks should be on this with like the broad. This is where people will die. I feel like in a Broadway play. Honestly,
this is the Spider-Man.
This is the I was just gonna say
there's gonna be a lot of batons and twirling and fire.
So this is what made me really happy. I want to be Miss Lonesome Rhodes and I want to be Miss Arkansas have the same amount of syllables. And so you could have them like slipping up and being like, I want to be Miss Arkansas. I want to be Miss Lonesome Rhodes. Like,
right,
because
gotcha.
they're all fawning over him and everything. And this is where we whip out like our most talented dancers to fucking baton twirl and all that shit.
Right, yeah. Got to ship in our fancy European baton twirlers.
And then the Mrs. Lonesome Rhodes song, it's really quick. It's revealing that he did marry that one bitch.
Yeah, no, you could even cut out like the scenes in the movie where they go to Mexico and then they're getting married on TV. You could just like they meet, they come together, she wins, and then all of a sudden she's in a wedding. Like just the wedding shit just comes around them. A bunch of chicks give her like dress shit and a veil.
Yeah.
Like
that was because here's my thing.
Yeah, you take the contestants that were with her and they all just
exactly.
like
And they're the bridesmaids now.
I really liked this movie. I thought it was a bit too long. So
it's 2 fucking hours
and
long.
so we're definitely gonna like transition between some big moments pretty quickly, just like that. So so it goes from like I wanna be Miss Arkansas, I wanna be Miss Lonesome Rhodes to like a really quick like bum bum ba-da, and then like I can't believe I miss Lonesome Rhodes.
Not so lonesome anymore.
With some sort of like a note at the end, like where like Lonesome is singing with her, and then maybe he thinks of Marcia or something.
Yeah,
it's like I gotta go.
If he does that, he always has to take the front stage. He always, upon the duet, he has to then like take the next step forward and push her back because it's his show.
Yeah.
And then All by My Lonesome. This is Marcia's song, like her big song. It's All by My Lonesome. It's her.
This is her fucking memory.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's her. That scene where she's laying down on the bed watching the marriage. It's basically that scene, but it's her throwing shit and like flipping shit, and it's All by My Lonesome, and then it builds up like that, and then it drops down to like depression and then anger again and depression, and it's like her fucking power song. Oh, I forgot to mention, what's his name? Fucking from
Walter
Odd Couple.
Matthau?
Yeah, he's not in this one.
He's just not in it, huh?
Marcia's taking this whole journey by herself.
I could see that.
Which I think.
I watched a remake of this called Mainstream. That's a terrible fucking movie, and they kept that character of Walter Matthau, but really no, she doesn't need someone else to tell her that this shit's getting fucked. She should be able to do that herself.
Yeah, so that's why I cut Walter Matthau.
I think that's not a bad move because then she can even be the one who gives that big speech at the end.
Exactly. And so after All by My Lonesome, we got the Sponsored By song, which is another one of those songs that doesn't really advance the plot much. I mean, it does slightly, but it's more of those fun, like, put this in the commercial thing. And so it's basically, I made it a song about the senator who's running for president and everything.
I was going to say, like, this is where I'd want a political song.
Yeah,
Because that's the next big shift that happens for both Lonesome in his career. Right. As well as the focus.
Yeah, so I was thinking we could make it like sponsored by Vitajack mattresses and Lonesome Roads and Lonesome Roads. Sponsored by Lonesome Roads. Thought it was funny.
It won't make you melt.
And then we've got the I Still Love Him song, Marsha, which is kind of just like a little reprise of All by My Lonesome. But it's like, it's a while later after, you know, all the shit has gone down and like he's advanced a little bit more, you know, the fucking politics shit. And so it's just like a short little reprise of that I thought would be cute.
Okay.
And then we've got the Sanctity of Marriage song, which is where he walks in on fucking Sally Lou or whatever cheating on him. And then he's like, bam, 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 bam. And then he's fucking like pissed and he's like, I knew I should have never trusted you and shit. And then the You Made Me song. So in that scene where he's like, he just goes over to Marsha's and he's like, I can't believe everybody's fucking turning on me. Blah, blah, blah. There's this part where he's crying at the end, like in her arms, and he goes, you made me. You made me.
Yeah, you made me, Marsha, yeah. And that's when she actually admits it to him in the movie. Like,
right. She fucked him up. Yeah, exactly. And so that is kind of, a lot of these songs are double entendres that we could use in the lyrics. Because fucking you made me, and then fucking like, you did this, well, you made me. Like shit like that, right. You know? As well as like, you made me who I am. Fucking, I'm so good.
That was a well put together Broadway play. You obviously took more than a minute to think about it.
I wrote it as I watched the film. Yeah.
You had. I do that too. So I have a genre in mind. I'm just like, well, we could just turn that scene into this.
And so, and then Who Needs Her song. That's where everybody's like, Marsha's not here. What are we gonna do? The fuck it, we're doing it live scene. And then I said, at the end of this song, it ends with him talking about the public. So it blacks out right at the end of the song, and it's just quiet for a real long time.
And then just like,
and then the lights start coming up, and we hear him going, "Those fuckers out there," and he's pointing at the audience.
Yeah, he's gonna like point like, I can't believe they paid money to come listen to me.
So did we make this clear that Marsha made this decision?
So what I was planning is that same office setting. We could do it on like a different balcony, and we could have a spotlight on her, and then she's like raising up the lights and everything, and we could do it in a different way. I wasn't 100% sure. I thought we could use the balconies.
I think that works.
Yeah,
I could see that working.
And then
as long as so that would make it clear that she's the one who's taking him down. Yeah, no, I think that works pretty well.
And then Well I Say. That's the title of this song. It's everybody calling in at the same time. Obviously, we're using the fucking ringing of the phones to like do the beat and everything, and like chunk of the operators just fucking plugging everything in, and it just keeps getting more and more hectic as people keep calling in, and we could do different spotlights, you know, all around of just, I think this a I think this a boom,
right,
yeah, exactly. And so fucking that's that song. And it's called Well I Say, you know, well I say,
you telling for me that we're not gonna see eye to eye no more, no way. Cause I say that lonesome road's gonna be lonesome on his views too.
And then we've got You're Gonna Love Me. That's the finale song. It's not the finale of the show, but it's the last song, which is where he's blowing up on the fucking help and like the audience. Like he could even be yelling, like he could be as far upstage or downstage as possible. Just, you're gonna love me and you're gonna love me. And then he's yelling at his Marsha as she walks in. And then he's like, good, Marsha, you're gonna love me. And then that's where that song ends, with her cutting him off and like yelling over the music going, I did it, and like admitting everything. And so the ending scene is just pure, quiet, plain dialogue between Lonesome and Marcia, where she's like, "Fuck you! I can't believe I never saw it before. You're the same man that we should have kept you locked up."
Right.
And then she explains what she did, and where that part where he's like in shock, she just starts walking away without a response.
Right.
Because in this, he's like able to say something to her, and then blah blah blah, and then she starts to walk away because of Walter Matthau. And so we do one more, like, "You get back here," but blah blah blah. She delivers that last speech of "no one's gonna remember you" and everything, and maybe she like. Nah, that'd be too much. I was gonna say she comes out of the crowd and she's looking up at the stage as like the lights fall down and we have a spot on her, and he's just yelling and she's like, "You're gonna love me! You're gonna love me!" And then he keeps yelling it as black, like it gets black, and we keep hearing him yell it for a while, and then curtain.
I was honestly gonna say, like, would you even consider the idea of, like, as lights come up and Usher starts saying, like, "All right, like, to the exits over here," like, we have that main guy so going like, "No, don't leave, stay, come on, stay."
Oh, that would be
like
good.
He's trying to, like, actually get the audience to just stay with him.
That would be good.
That would be pretty
cool.
tight.
Have you ever seen a musical that didn't end on a song?
You can. Well,
I
the
don't
lights
know.
are coming up, and it's just like this
I don't
emotional
know.
scene.
See, that's the thing. Is like there's a specific
I've
thing
never
about
seen
the
a musical, to
There's
be
a
honest.
specific thing about the construction of a musical, at least in my philosophy of it, where it's based on the peaks of emotion,
Right.
and that's when the songs are, is in the peaks of emotion. Like,
Right.
if you're feeling it, and you feel too much to be silent, you speak. If you're feeling too much to speak, then you sing. If you're feeling too much just to sing, then you fucking dance.
Then
And the
you-
ending of the movie should be a certain peak of emotion. So I kind of want.
Okay.
I wonder about there being a song at the end there.
Okay. Because I was just thinking overture, but if you want a big song, I'm sure I could come up with
Well,
something.
I'm not sure about that. I just wanted to see what you thought about that, or if you were to defend your idea of why you think it shouldn't end. Because I understand that the note the movie itself ends on is it's a sour, like, and then it's over, and then you're sitting there like, whoa, kind of note. But does that work better in film than in a musical? Because musicals are intentionally supposed to be in your face. Elia Kazan over here was like the inventor of, not the inventor, but he's like the guy who found Marlon Brando and James Dean, like subtlety in things. Whereas you're translating this to the theater, you know what I mean?
You know what we could do? We could add, you know how I said the reprise of Marsha's big song? We could do that at the very end, except we flip all the words. So like, "I used to love him," from like "I still love him," or fucking like,
Right.
you know?
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, so I like your idea.
Because I
think you got some
definitely
good
want it
stuff.
to end with Marcia.
Right, and I think you're right to do so. And I also like the idea of her going into the audience. I honestly think like her character could just end with her like going out the door and slamming it behind her. And then maybe there are ways you could do it without ending it on music. But yeah, so that was just a question. I just wanted to see what you'd say. So now, since you did yourself the thing of choosing a musical, you gave yourself the hardest thing that you're gonna have to do. You need to give me a song, at least a chorus. I'm refusing to fund a musical if I don't hear some music here. Okay. So I recommend you use that guitar behind you. That one doesn't have 6 strings.
There it is. Perfect.
All right. So
I'm going to put this bad bitch down so you don't
Yeah.
hear me plucking.
yeah,
could
no,
be
you
next?
you do what you can.
Do you want me to
do
hold
what
that
you
one
can.
too? Okay.
I just want some sort of song to sell this feeling to me. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So now we are moving on to the second idea. And just to make my life easier, I'm going to cut both of these and roll them real quick. Sorry to the listening audience.
While you're cutting and corrivanting, calibating,
We're rolling.
and putting all together, allow me to have another drink.
Sure, take your drink as you prepare this and as Tytan sits there fiddling on the git. All right. This isn't a shower beers, Brant. I like that chair.
I took most of the liquid with me.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that. I think that's fine. All right, so you also were supposed to have an idea. You want to make a movie? You want to advance this property? What do you got? What are your ideas?
Did you know Warner Brothers was a production house for this movie? Do you know what that made me think immediately for some reason?
What?
Was a Harry Potter type thing. Was a Warner Brothers, like a superhuman type thing. And as I watched this more and more, I realized that our man Lonesome Rhodes almost has this weird power of persuasion over people. So what I propose to you today is almost a direct up and coming, a direct modernization of this movie.
Okay.
But with a simple and single twist that we recognize Lonesome Road's power of persuasion. Almost supernatural in that fact. And how he does it.
What do you mean we recognize his power?
I'm not saying like a full-on super movie, but like an anti-hero movie. Like, what was it? Hancock was one of them kind of things. Now, I'm not saying like full-on he's flying in the air. I'm not saying he's saving buses full of citizens. No.
Let's go through the plot then.
No. We're starting at the beginning where Marcia first falls under his influence of his persuasion and his wily ways and his eyes and how he stalks and his silver tongue and how it cuts through everything like butter. Okay. I want to really like look into him as a person. Now, if you watch like movies or like documentaries about serial killers and sociopaths, you would immediately look at this guy and say, damn, Andy Griffith would have made a really good drifter killer. A really good drifter killer.
A good drifter killer, like a guy who kills drifters?
No, a guy who's drifting around killing. He's a drifter and a killer.
Okay, all right.
You see what I'm kind of feeling?
Well, I don't see how that fits into this plot, though. Like, I'm still confused on what this movie is. So this takes place in 2021.
Well, I didn't say I said like a modernization.
Yeah, but like it takes place in the TikTok era.
Maybe before. We're at least
in Facebook era.
We're in color. You know, this story itself could just sit pretty well by itself without too much.
Right, you know, and like I don't want you to just modernize, because then you'd be making Andrew Garfield's mainstream, and that was a piece of shit. Shout out to that movie; it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I just want like this real in-depth look at what Andy Griffith's character is, Lonesome Roads, and like how he starts. I want people to feel like he is a hero. I want all these good things to be like the most forefront, but I want those little bits, those little touches where Marcia sees that he's just doing it because he's a sociopath and that he himself recognizes he has a certain power over people.
Right.
He has a certain way of talking that just gets people to listen to the cadence of his rhythm, and every time they do, they just can't help but fall in love with what he says. Every little piece and bit, his climb up, as far as we see it, his climb up is natural. It's just people want him. But I want him being a part of that. I want him manipulating things. I want him talking to presidents. I want him talking to the people that hold onto the radio station and saying, well, now you just give me another little bit of a chance here, a little bit more time, and I could walk myself a bit up more here towards Memphis.
I need you to give me some crayons here. I need you to color in the lines a little bit. Can you give me the beginning, middle, and end, just really quickly? Just give me those beats.
This isn't a full superhero movie. This isn't like...
right, but I still don't see what this movie is about.
This isn't radioactive waste makes him like a Superman. This is more like Unbreakable or something.
Right, but like, so I understand that the main difference is that like, his ability to control people is supernatural in nature.
To a degree, yeah. So open up. Okay, so we're going to open up, and we're not going to be in the prison for the start. We're going to be in him, how he got to prison. He's going to be playing his guitar on the side of the road, and, you know, he's going to get himself a good crowd. Maybe he's at a bar or something even to that degree, where he's playing, and he gets everyone up and running and rolling. And they said drunken disorderly conduct, right?
Yep.
So I want to see what that really meant. I want to see, like, did he cause, like, an actual riot? Was he having a couple drinks of whiskey with him, too, and he was just down there throwing elbows and fists in that crowd? I wanted to see, like, what carnage did he actually bring that they pulled him out and put him away for a whole week?
Right.
That's my beginning.
Okay.
I want him walking into town with nothing but his little hobo sack and his guitar, walking to the first bar saying, well, if you let me just play upon your stage here, you know, give me a couple drinks too, and I'll give these guys a good show or so.
So the immediate thing that changes about the plot is instead of it being like we find him and we don't exactly know how to feel about him, we are in his shoes
immediately.
So we're more like going through the journey with him in this version.
Yeah, and we're gonna see it in a pretty positive limelight for him too. So he plays up there and he does his well job, and everyone's feeling into and good into, and he's gonna kind of do a thing of like, let's get up a little bit more, boys. Come on, let's get up a little bit more. You stomp those chairs, you flip those tables. I need someone to give me a beat. Give me a beat. Dun, dun,
10,000 miles away from home.
Exactly. And we're slamming down, people are cracking their tables, they're cracking their chairs, they're cracking their bottles, and they start punching each other too. And he's just like, he finishes the song, looks down at this riot that he's causing in this bar, and he says, might as well. Jumps in, and that's where he's dragged away. Right. And then we cut Opening scene, opening credits. Kill out all of them right there as we go through Marcia talking to her uncle about how they need a spot and how she's going to look around and how she's doing her face of the crowd. And during that whole face of the crowd segment of her going around the small town, that's where we'll have all our credits kind of like lead in and bleed in. And maybe we'll have like actual cast and crew up on there, you know, like why the Foley guy doesn't get in TV enough. He's not in front of the camera enough. He could be an extra easy.
Okay.
Yeah, just have it like that, you know, a little cast and crew, 5 minutes as we go through it.
Fine with that.
Fine with that. We're in the prison, the whole thing happens, she gets him.
And what's different about the thing that happens?
It's just basically the exact same
thing. Okay.
Yeah, because like, well, what can you really change with that?
Have
honestly?
you explained how the superpowers came? So like, we don't see him fall into a vat of acid or anything.
It's just supernatural persuasion, man. Some people have it. Some people can just tell you that the fucking sun is blue, and you say, yeah, I guess it is.
All right, keep going. What happens next? The thing with the radio.
So we're in the radio. He's got a shot. Everyone kind of like convinces him to sing. And that's when Marcia, she's one of the few that's just not totally swayed by the way that this man likes to sing, you know? She likes it.
Okay, so Marcia is more intrigued in him as a person, but she's not
more
swayed
intrigued
by
at like what he brings about. So she's not sitting there going like, she's not clapping and singing and stomping along, but she sees everyone else is. As everyone else from this movie will be seeing, the people that are buying his time, buying his words.
Okay.
They're seeing him on the outside view of the public eye. Because he is a celebrity.
Right.
He's just a guy who can walk in anywhere and he can get what he wants. So we go through this whole
But she can see it, and like it's very clear to us that like the mystique is not going to her.
Yeah, no, she's just like but well, I mean, you know, like
she likes him. She's still
interested
in him. She still thinks
she's not clapping and smiles. All I'm saying, she's just like, you know, you're a great performer. I'm gonna try and get you on my uncle's radio. And, you know, that whole bit happens with the whole bit in back. We get the whole time where he's like taking over this town's ideals for all these little old ladies and the stay-at-home moms and all that stuff. Same idea, but we're gonna have a little bit more of a, I don't want to like say a sinister, but like the way that he's gonna kind of manipulate the people, saying like, I know you're just out there by yourself, you know, cleaning the stove, waiting around, nothing to do. Well, why don't you come on down, kind of thing, you know?
Brant, how is this different from the current movie?
I want a cult movie again.
Okay, so the cult thing's gonna happen at some point?
I want a full-on cult, because he didn't have a cult! How did he not have a cult? Right, he didn't have a cult!
How does the cult come in? Because I need to start hearing some differences between the movie.
So because
I'm picturing the same movie in my head. Still.
Yeah, and you see it in black and white, like Andy Griffith's dead, so it's not like we're gonna cast him. I was thinking
not, but
yeah, I was thinking maybe someone like, God, you need someone with like that kind of rugged old face of his. Yeah, I was gonna say like
a country singer or somebody.
You know, like Brant Gilt. Yeah, who could we actually get?
I know. Well, I mean, we have an unlimited budget at this point, so we don't want somebody. I got. Well, all right. So he's still a country boy?
He's still a country boy, as far as we know.
So he's still a country boy.
He's still singing his songs. He's still taking his times and his corners and stuff. Here's the thing, though, where it comes up with like the Videjects or Vimujects and all that stuff. That's where we're gonna get a little bit more like straight up with it, because that was just like, hey, here's a pill that does something. But this is where it's gonna get more big pharma style, where it's like, no, you're gonna tell these people that it cures everything that they could have on them.
Okay, so now you're finally giving me something interesting.
Yeah. Now we're going to like the full, I don't want to say eyes wide shut, but we're doing some eyes wide shut stuff.
Okay, see, this was, I told you what I really want out of this was I want some good
I gotta set it up! You gotta give me time to set it up!
I've seen the movie. You didn't have to set up all the scenes I already knew were going to happen.
Guys, you know, people might not have seen it too, and we discussed a little
bit. They just
but
heard him go through the exact same plot.
I have a thing written down.
Okay. All right, so Big Pharma. So he's got the ads.
Big Pharma hits.
He's got the Vimuville. He's got the Vimujects.
These people are saying like, you know, you have to even take these pills and they're gonna love your show even more. They're gonna buy everything that you say they want because they listen to your every single word. And we're gonna really see like how this big pharma, this big politician stuff really starts to like corner down to not just him, but there's a bunch like him, dozens even, all around the U.S.
Okay, I like this. All right, so you're saying that, like, there is him and there's a bunch of other influencer, powerful people who are the head of various companies or whatever, or at least the face of various things, and they are all pushing all pushing this fucking drug, which gets people really into your shit.
Drugs, people, products. I mean, the big idea is like the first start we see is like the big pharma stuff with like him in the Memphis area and like maybe like down east south type stuff. For that, it's gonna be like big pharma. I mean, we cut the map in like fours and say like politicians, big pharma, fast food, and whatever the fuck else. But the idea of it is that he is just one of many that have been recruited, picked away, and put in front of your TV to make you buy, to make you docile, and to make you listen. And the whole time, because he's a smart cookie, this Andy Griffith Lonesome Road guy, he realizes this position he's been placed upon himself, and he starts to rise through those ranks that he himself finds himself in. These dozen or so people that all have the same persuasive power as him all come off against each other to see who can really convince someone else to do what they want. So those parts where he was saying, like, I'll jump, I want a few times where he actually convinces someone to jump off a building and die, or a bridge.
So you're saying okay, so like all right, so there's 12. You're saying there's like
a dozen, a rough dozen.
There's a whole.
We're not saying a hard.
Well,
number,
there's like a collection. There's the elite. They have the elite few. They have the A-list of people that are being.
They
pushed
have
on
their
the people.
celebrities that are bought in by them to push and peddle for the public.
And Lonesome Roads is people, but then he gets wise to
more
it.
power.
He wants more power than all of them.
He wants to be the only one. So he starts going through and he starts using his wily ways to start
because he has a natural power and the drug just helps him. He doesn't need it.
Yeah. But he's just better at it. He can improv. He can go off anything. The rest of these guys have been, low down. They've been, community theater guys who have had someone telling them what to do. But Lone Star is the one that's come on this entire this collective who's just kind of been fucking winging it the whole time. And because he's able, like I said, I want like someone like him convincing someone to jump off a building. I want convincing someone to just, leave town for good. I want these parts where he's actually talking to these people who should be his equal or his even betters. And he twists them for his own use. The whole time, he's, slowly rising himself from big pharma to politics. Suddenly he's talking about who should be the next president. That's where we're starting getting the more eyes wide shut stuff because
so give me some more of this eyes wide shut shit. Explain the details of cult stuff a little more.
Because the thing was, I was surprised at how much of this movie, touched on. It didn't talk about politicians fucking kids. No.
Except for Lonesome fucking 16-year-old, but that was just how shit was back in the day.
That's how they did. So I want this real creepy cult weird get to the point where Lonesome, I guess you are ready to join the inner sanctum, and then he sees the real what's actually going on. Not a full soil green, not like they're crushing puppy skulls to make these pills. We would see this is an addictive substance. People do fall for this, or it really does alter and destroy a person's being.
So Lonesome's actually learning in the case. He's learning what's actually happening to these people, and
he doesn't give a shit.
And he doesn't give a shit. So he just wants to use more. But Marcia,
she's been on the train with him the whole time, standing next to him and helping him because he does still need someone to ground him in this journey. Everyone else has had their directors, their co-stars, their co-hosts, just been winging it. It's Marcia. So she's also here the whole time, seeing all this happen. And that's where she's finally gonna be like, this isn't right. This can't be happening.
Okay. All right, I can dig that. All right, so then she sees him. So has he taken out the competition? Those other 12 people?
A few of them. Not like we said, not a hard dozen, but enough. Enough of a scene that we see that he has risen away from just being a puppet to being someone behind the strings as well.
Right. Okay. So this version of it This version of it does a little bit it does a lot more of the smoky back room. Mm-hmm. It does a lot more.
It's not just a bunch of guys in tuxedos and we want you to talk about how great our politicians now. We want you to be on this cabinet. We want you to be able to tell people who they should vote for and what they should do.
Okay, then what? What changes? What changes about the ending?
The ending? I mean, that's the whole thing. Is it can't change.
Chip trays him.
But we don't see anything else. The public doesn't know about what's going on in the background because,
And then it has the same basic note of him getting canceled, but he'll still be there, but he won't have power anymore.
What I was thinking was a small moment of retribution for this horrid, sallow soul that he is, where Marcia says, you've sold yourself, you've sold your ideals, and you'll sell any person below you.
Right.
There's nothing to stop you, and there's no, what's the term? Retribution for soul like yourself. And she leaves and she cleanses herself with who's there with the Buddy Holly looking guy?
Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau. They leave, they say their due diligence and they say their cozy lines. And I want that 1 second at the end though. Where but instead of him sitting there screaming on top of Martha, he decides you know what, maybe I can change. And the single moment that he goes and he tries to fight back against the machine, he's gone.
What do you mean he's gone? We fade out, he falls off the building, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, are you saying Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because at the end, because he's in like, I'll jump, Marcia, don't like stop, and like, but this is the one time that he's actually gonna be like, I'll show her, I'll change, I'll show what all this is about.
Okay, I think that's a great modernization because he gets canceled. He realizes the error of his ways, and then he tries to stand up to the machine, but the
machine just grinds him in the
machine would have
gears.
killed him anyway.
Yeah, he's just a piece of fodder, man. He's another gear in a machine, and as soon as he's worn down or starts turning the wrong way,
Okay.
you pop him out and throw him away.
I would consider that additive to the story.